And today we're unveiling the CNBC Disruptor 50. Take a look at DocuSign, the 11-year-old company setting the standard for e-signatures and changing the way deals are done.
Sign on the dotted E line. DocuSign's cloud-based e-signature technology allows users to digitally prepare, send, sign, and manage documents securely without ever relying on pen, paper, or fax machines. It's available in 44 languages, and its electronic signatures are legally binding around the world. More than 105,000 companies, from HP to Sony to Yahoo, pay DocuSign to help speed up transactions and cut costs. DocuSign, which threatens a range of companies from FedEx to Xerox, has raised over $200 million from investors including Kleiner Perkins, as well as the National Association of Realtors, whose members use its technology.
Joining us now is Keith Krach, the chairman and CEO of DocuSign. Also joining us, our very own Julia Borston, who's been leading coverage of this list for us. Julia, welcome back. And Keith, look, people have said that credit is the lifeblood of the U.S. economy. I wonder if it's not signatures.
Well, you know, it's all about transactions, and people have been doing it with paper for the last 3,000 years. So we've got an opportunity to change the way business is done.
Now, Keith, I think it's really interesting that you have this deal with the National Association of Realtors. They obviously have a very strategic investment in you, but what's the area where you're seeing the biggest growth right now?
Right. So in the real estate area, we've basically become a verb. The biggest area that we see is in the financial services area and insurance as well, because there's just so much paper in that area. So we have 14 of the top 15 wealth management companies that are rolling us out. Merrill Lynch is rolling us out to their 19,000 financial advisors. Morgan Stanley's rolling us out to their 14,000 financial advisors. 12 of the top 15 insurance carriers are rolling us out internally.
So who's your biggest competition?
There's no doubt about it. It's paper.
It's not the fingerprint? Couldn't that displace the signature?
Well, we actually have multiple levels of authentication. Actually, biometrics is one of those.
Smart.
I know one of the key things is you say you're secure, but how do you make sure that all of those documents, all those DocuSigns are secure when you face so many different threats?
Yes, and that's the beauty of DocuSign, is that these are people's most important documents, are ones that they sign. So it's totally encrypted. We have bank class security, carrier class availability. That's the thing that is probably the most important aspect. And that's what's really driving our business, is everything that's going on with security these days.
Keith, with paper signatures, more often than not, you need to visit a notary to actually have the signature notarized and verified, and that's how it works on that side. I'm just wondering what the verification process is like within DocuSign. How do you verify that I am the person signing that document and that is, in fact, my signature? Right.
So there's basically 8 levels of verification, so all the way to access code, biometrics, voice signature, SMS, text. We actually have an e-notary product. So it's a combination of all those depending on what type of transaction.
Lots of changes coming in the mobile space. We saw Apple at WWDC. We're about to see some more from Android. Which is the most powerful mobile platform for you right now? Is it iOS? Is it Android?
It's actually both of those, as well as with Microsoft as well. We just announced a strategic partnership with Microsoft where they've integrated DocuSign to Office and Office 365, giving us exposure to their 1 billion Office customers. We're great partners, obviously, with Google. They've invested in us. SAP's invested, Salesforce has invested in us, and Apple's also a great partner as well.
You know, it reminds me a little bit of that quote. One of the actresses whose name escapes me, but she says it took, people call me an overnight success. It took me 10 years to become an overnight success. It's a little bit like your company. I mean, Julie, 11 years old, and they're at the top of the disruptor list today.
Yeah, and I wonder what's next for DocuSign. Are you going to sell to one of those investors, or are you going to go public? What's the plan?
Our plan is to build a great sustaining company that's going to be around for decades or centuries. You know, an IPO, we look at that as a financing event. And key to our strategy is to not only survive, but thrive in a heterogeneous environment. That's why we have so many partnerships, and all the big software companies have invested in it.
But you've compared yourself to Visa, and I'm interested because Visa struck a partnership with the banks where they all took an ownership stake. I'm wondering if you could do that with some of these software companies.
Well, that in essence is kind of what's going on. I just had a conversation with Ryan McInerney, the 38-year-old president whose office is kind of right next to us, and he goes, I get it. He goes, what we've done in the payments area, you guys are doing in the documents area. He goes, our enemy is cash. Your enemy is paper.
Keith, great to have you here. Congratulations. Julia, thank you so much. There's plenty more on the CNBC.